Okay, I'm waiting for it to come. Hello, everyone. We're getting ready for our program at 12 noon.
So can you just tag me, please?
I'm tagging you. I got you, Gabriel. I'm following the instructions. But since I'm live, I'm just trying to let everyone know that it's time. We're counting down 19 minutes. 19 minutes. Yes. So we're sending the link out now so that you can join. So it's gonna be on like popcorn. We'll see you at 12 noon. Were you able to get the link, Gabriel?
Yeah, I'm trying to leave my hands in it.
Gabriel Amoro has been tagged. We're getting ready. We're getting pumped up. Leading in a crisis. The first thing you want to do is what? Yeah. Make sure you can define the crisis. Next thing we're going to do is make sure we can what? Steer clear, battle distractions during the crisis. That's what we're going to focus on today. I just can't wait. Hey, DR. Whoa, how you doing, Super Dad? How's it going? How's that big girl of yours? And Jibs, how are you? Good to see you, Jibola. People have asked for us to share the link, so we're trying to do some sharing of link as we lead in. But I think I'm going to play it maybe as a little old school to get us warmed up. Would you like that? Would you like to hear some old school? I know DR can relate to some old school. Right, DR? Yes, so I'm right here in Raleigh. I'm not far away. I'm in Nightdale. We can look but not touch. We're going to be talking about battling distractions during a crisis. And I decided to put my own spin on it today because, I mean, gosh, there's so many things that can really, indeed. There's so many things that can get in our way of distractions. DR, what would you say is one of your challenges? Because you're leading a family. What else are you leading? I'm sure Omega Psi you got some type of leadership going on there. I think you lead the choir too. You got something going on there. What are the challenges when it comes to battling distractions, and what have you learned? Come on. What you got? We're going to be adding people in. Gabriel, have you picked up the link?
My network is really messing me up right now, so...
Okay, Jibs, can you pick up the link for me so that we can share the link out? I'm a baby in Facebook Lives, but I am committed to grow on this thing. And we're going to get it together, right?
Okay. My network is messed. I'm going to send you this Saturday.
Can we send a link on WhatsApp? That's what we're looking to do. We've got some community of people that are waiting to get that. The link, if we can get the link from the Facebook Live that's running now, and then we can send it on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Get up, get on up. You gotta get on the scene. Get on up. You're sending on WhatsApp now? He takes the ball. He shoots and he scores. Are you scoring? Are you scoring now, Gabriel? Are you scoring to bring people in?
Yes, I am.
All right. Okay, so do I cut off and then come back at 12? Or do I stay on? Hi, Chinyeri. How are you, my dear? Welcome. So while you're getting the link, Gabriel, do I stay on or do I turn off and come back in?
I think we should just stay on.
Okay, so guys, we're in a warm-up mode here. We'll see how to edit this kind of front load out. We're on a journey together. You know, sometimes when you're very committed to what you're trying to accomplish, you are willing to maybe lend yourself out there a little bit more and stretch and be willing to make a fool of yourself. You know how men are when they go on one knee and they are so committed to the love and the life that they want, they're willing to embarrass themselves because you're risking the person saying no and not all working. So that's what I'm leaning into today, because I believe there's a calling on my life to share all this stuff that God has blessed me with in terms of experiences. I've made a lot of mistakes and learnings, and I look at some of the fruits that God has blessed us with. It's time to be able to pay back. So part of my contribution during this crisis, during this change, doing just life, guys, is to be able to cascade some of the learnings I've had through my over 30 years of working in corporate America, corporate Nigeria, working in South Africa, doing work in projects in manufacturing and consulting, oil and gas, real estate, and mothering 5 beautiful little ones, marriage for over 30 years, all of those, Delta Sigma Theta, that gives you organizational, all kinds of things. And I look back on my life sometimes. I was doing some gratitude sessioning with my husband this morning, and we're just thanking God for so many things that have come into our lives. You know, thank you, Lord, for the access that you've given us to education. Thank you, Lord, for us being able to put our hands and actually convert the gifts that you've given us and the talents you've given us into gifts that are even blessing other people. We just thank you, Lord. Thank you for the little people. And you know, when I look sometimes when you get notes that just warm your heart, where people are telling you how you touch their lives, and oftentimes the event wasn't so significant to you. You were just living your life. You were just doing what God has called you to do, and you just never know how you're going to bless someone. So we want to be the blessing that also initiates the whole trigger, because people need love and care right now. Who doesn't like a hug? Who doesn't like some attention? Who doesn't like to be listened to feel supported, to feel as if they are not on the journey together? I'm reminded sometimes of the poet. It's a poem I actually have on the wall, but I discovered it in 1980. Fortunately, unfortunately, it was at the death of my mother, and my sister brought out the poem to put on her obituary. How many of you have heard of the poem Footprints? Footprints is a poem, and if I were to paraphrase it, it's about someone who's crossed to the other side, and they were able to look back at their life as if it were a walk on a beach. So they were able to pitch different periods of their life against that journey. And what they asked God was, there were 2 footstep paths when I was going through some of the easier things of my life. When I was, the joyful periods and it was like you were walking with me. But why is it that when I reach some of the toughest parts of my life, some of the toughest challenges of my life, there was only one set of footprints? Only one set. Now, we talk about walking by faith, not by sight, right? So this person was making a judgment by sight. One set of footprints. They saw where it went from 2 to 1, and it correlated that in the toughest time, there was only one footprint, and those were my footprints, and I was toughing it through. I was trying to grind and work hard and push and push and push and use my own intellect. For me, I went through that season of finding the limits of my intellect. That's when I discovered my intuition and my voice and my connection with God. It got so strong. But when you're walking by sight and you see just that one footstep, you will believe that it's you all along. You will believe, if you're not grounded in having a deeper, wider understanding and opened up to your intuition and the larger power at play, you won't realize that it's during those toughest times, and God helped her to know, It was through those tough times that I carried you. So know that I'm not God by any means, but I trust that I can be a vessel, that I can help in supporting and caring and maybe not carry all of you, but carry some of the baggage that you may be challenged with in this period. Just to know that you are not alone. When there's only one set of footsteps, it's often the time that we're reaching out and being carried by those who love and care for us. We're not always aware actively of what it looks like. Even the person that may be carrying you may not even be aware of the love and the light that they're bringing into your life. But if we're always walking with the intent of lifting and loving and supporting and making the place better than we find it. I always tell people I pride myself on trying, not necessarily a pride, but one of my goals, and I don't always do it now because I have my moments as well, but one of my intentions in life is to be one of the most positive people I know. And that requires sometimes that I see things that others don't see, that I look beyond the appearances, that I'm able to see the cycles. God has gifted me to be able to see the whole cycles of things. And that's just not something that comes from living a long time, because I always joke there are a lot of old fools in the resting homes. Just by getting older doesn't make you wiser. Some people claim they have 30, 40 years of something experience or whatever, but really what you find is if they're not careful, they have a single year of experience repeated 40 times. Which means simply that if you don't grow, if you get stuck in neutral in your life and you just kind of go whichever direction the wind blows and you're not intentional, you could easily be stuck. Yes, you have 40 years of something, but it's the same thing over and over and over again. And if it's not really linked with some intentional efforts to grow, to bring out the talents that God has placed inside of you, then you won't have that 40 years of experience at 30 or wherever you are in your journey. You know, we talked a lot yesterday. I shared a poster with everyone asking, is experience the best teacher? Is experience the best teacher? And, you know, it's one of those sayings that I think we can get stuck in sometimes that isn't necessarily true. Just like the golden rule, right? They say treat people as you'd like to be treated. Well, I'll test you on that one too today. The golden rule. But back to the point, essentially, it's important to know that if we don't spend time evaluating some of our experiences, if we don't spend time in reflection and review, no continuous improvement will ever take place. Because guess what? We'll be doing the same thing over and over again, not even noticing that we're not meeting our objectives completely or telling ourselves lies that it was all good. Or as I've seen sometimes, how many of you who've worked in corporate settings or project management settings that, you know, the project plan that was created, folks put the plan in place, then they go do the project. Oftentimes we never even go back and look at the plan. But the next person who then works on a project similar picks up the same project plan, same project blueprint, and that's what they work with as well. Does anybody see what's wrong with the picture I just painted? When you have a plan, then you go work the plan, then somebody else who comes along copy and paste your plan. What's missing in that picture? Can anyone type in to me? Anyone that might be listening? Can anybody see anything wrong with that plan, that approach? Let me hear from you. I'm just inviting some folks in because we're starting at 12 officially. This is the prelude to this is the stardust. This is the hors d'oeuvres. This is the prelude to the proslude to the whatever you want to call it. I'm just happy to be with you on this Good Friday. Isn't it a blessing that, you know, not everybody woke up this morning. Not everyone woke up this week. We are facing an unprecedented time, and it's truly up to us how we come through it. What kind of people we turn out to be as a result of the change and experience that we've gone through. How many of us want to be the type of leader that seem to be the single footsteps that's carrying our followers, our colleagues, even our seniors? We have that level of influence when we look at ourselves as leaders. Want to be just like God showed us in that footprints poem, that it was during those tough times that I carried you. How powerful is that? To know that you have a friend. You know what? I don't have any boundaries in terms of spirituality, intellect, reading, all of that, because I really believe there's a friend. What a friend we have in Jesus. And, we look at, this weekend, Good Friday. I don't remember not going to church on, all that. But what this is teaching us, guys, is so much of what we need is inside of us. We got to dig inside and find our own church. Lisa Nichols talks about that. You got to be your own rescue. All these years of reading the Word and sitting in these, it's real estate. We've been sitting in real estate in buildings, being exposed to the Word. How much of the Word have we put inside of our purses, inside of our beings, and carried out and lived out with us? I think that's our opportunity at this point in time. Unprecedented. When unprecedented things happen, we need to show up in an extraordinary way. And I think we're just given that opportunity right now. I think I've done enough invites, and I believe we're coming up with a link that we can share. And from there, guys, we'll be kicking off on day 2 of Leading in Crisis. Day 1 was defining the crisis. We had over 128 folks involved in that, looking at the video and participating. Yay! Because this is my first solo Facebook Live. As I was speaking earlier with folks, you have to lean into your calling. It is like follow your passion. No, you cannot follow your passion. You need to lead your passion. You need to be in front of it. So it means doing things scared. If you're not uncomfortable with things, that typically means you're not growing, and you run the risk of being one of those people that repeat the same experience, the same level of maturity and growth year after year after year without any net products. I was challenged recently to answer a question about what fruits has my tree of life produced? What are the fruits? The biblical scripture tells us we will know you by your fruit. What have we been producing? What is it that we'd like to produce? So when you look at our leadership journey, you need to be asking, what do I need to continue to do that's been working? What do I need to stop doing because it's maybe blocking me? Whether it's mindset or it's thinking, it's behavior, it's actions, it's associations. And what do I need to start doing? So stop. What do I need to stop? What do I need to start? What do I need to keep doing and do more of? Those are kind of the questions that I believe that this pause right now, Governor Cuomo calls it the New York pause, but I'm believing it's a Patrenia pause. It's a Felicia pause. It's a Femi pause. I never realized I had so many friends on Facebook. Let me just pause here myself and just see what we have. Hi, Jimmy. Hi there. Hi, Blessing. Oh, my sex coach is on. My sister girlfriend is on. My drop-in neighbor. How's everyone doing? Glad to see you. Stephanie. Oh, wow. All of this was happening when I had the screen up. Awesome. So welcome, Ekene. You make me smile. Oh, that's my coach, guys. Harry, Adeze, Shirley. Please stick with us. We'll be kicking off right at 12 noon. Dale Toomey, oh my goodness, from my Harley Davidson days. Go, my man. I love your dog. I have to put my dog on there too. Cheryl, Chica, Yvette. Yvette, where in the world are you now? Because I know you're my world traveler. Tell us where you are. Yes. And Stephanie Kadiri. Oh, Steph Red. Wonderful to see you. Ah, this is nice. This is nice. Yimmy. Oh, yes. Look at my folks. Oh, I'm so blessed. Thank you so much. It is 12 noon and we're ready to go. I hope we were able to share a link. I know in my American Women's link on WhatsApp, they were asking for a link. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how to send one, but I have someone on my team hopefully helping me with that. Hey, Stanley. Oh, my goodness. This is one of my childhood friends from Winston-Salem Oh, I love this. This is nice. How's everyone doing? Give me just a check-in word today to give me one word just to say, where are you? Let me know where you are. And use the icons. Let me know how you're doing. You got some stars, you got some hearts. Just let me know how you're doing. Because we're going to be talking today about battling distractions during a crisis. Battling distractions. Is anybody having any distractions? Hi there, Walt. I saw you in the pulpit. Hi there, Babs. Yes. Just give me a check-in. Give me a hand wave. Let me know you're there, and we're getting ready to kick off. All right. Now, we spoke yesterday about defining the crisis, and we really, just to do a quick recap, I shared kind of a question with you about how oftentimes people have a project plan, right? We project plan, then sometimes we set that project plan down, and then we go off and do the project, right? And then next year when somebody needs to do something similar, I know Babs can probably relate to this one because you've seen it. Next year when someone needs to do something similar, they pick up their project plan and begin to work, and they wonder why it doesn't work. So with the poser that we talked about yesterday, I was challenging people to say, is experience the best teacher? And we concluded that experience is not the best teacher. We've heard that all our lives. But if you look deeper, if experience was the best teacher, then we wouldn't be making the same mistakes over and over again, now would we? So the essence is that an evaluated experience is the best teacher. And that practice of evaluated experience is really around reflection. And that reflection, when you have an experience and you go back and you look at it through different lenses. What was really happening? You look at it from an empathetic perspective. You look at it from where is it in the cycle perspective. You're looking at it from different people's views. So I know my intent, but only I know my intent. Everyone else just knows the impact. So how did I make people feel as we were doing whatever we were doing? So all of that helps you then to do the thing better and have a true learning from the experience. So in evaluating the experience, so I use a project plan because many of us are project managers and we execute and deliver. What happens when you actually work the project and we work the plan, you find things that don't really work, right? You find that step number 5 really takes 20 days, not 2 days, because you had to follow up and do whatever. But when we don't take that time and create that habit, and if we're distracted from actually going back and reviewing the plan, updating it and making it something actual so that you can hand it over to the next person that's doing a similar project. Does that make sense? So that's part of, in a leadership role, sometimes we lose sight. We might get distracted because we're rushing to do the thing and we don't have time to evaluate and improve the thing. So that distraction sometimes can take us off of our focus of being the best that we can be. I have another poser because I'm also looking just for your feedback. I'm not seeing anything pop up, but I see all these people say they're watching. So I need some feedback. You know, Chris Rock says, what does a wife need, a woman need? She needs compliments and an occasional pair of shoes. So what we need is just some feedback to let me know that you're there. So let me know. Another poser I just wanted to put out there is around the golden rule, where it says treat people like you'd like to be treated. How many of you, just by a show of hands, how many of you buy into the golden rule? Does anybody buy into the golden rule? Just show me by hands. Is there a way to show by hands? I know it is. I don't see any stars. Or there you go, you're present. Thank you, Kenneth. Good to see you. How is Canada? How is Canada? And Deborah, how are things going? Golden rule. So in the golden rule, we usually say, treat people like you would like to be treated. And I'll just share one of my leadership stories. When I was a supervisor for the first time, and this was at in my Harley Davidson days, but I was one of those people. I like projects, begin and end, and then I can go into the next thing. Operations, you have to do it to really understand the business, but it's kind of boring to me because it's the same thing every time. So for me, in operations, I do it, but I prefer projects. Because for me, once I finish it, what is it? Compliments, pair of shoes, you get feedback, and you get to move on to the next thing. And for me, at that point in my life, this was in my first 5-6 years of working. I was very interested in career progression. So my first supervisory experience, I was managing a materials team. It was called, it was a just-in-time team, but in Harley, it was materials as needed. And I had about 3 people on my team, and these gentlemen had children my age, right? They probably had forgotten more than I had learned about manufacturing systems at that point. And we were in a revival opportunity where there was a material system that people needed to learn, and it had saved the company years ago. So these guys were like disciples, and I kept going to Jim saying, hey, Jim, part of our problem is we've hired new people and they don't know the how the system works, the man system, and I know how important it is to you that everyone wants to learn it, and I need for you to hold some more training programs so that we can get the word out and get everybody's skills up. And the more I told them to hold classes, I would say things like, once you train more people, then you would be able to be promoted to then, to other positions because you've made more disciples and everyone understands it, and everyone will know that you know this thing and you be able to move on. And the more I asked this man to train the courses, the fewer courses he trained. And week after week after week, I didn't quite get it. Well, what I learned about Jim was that I was trying to motivate him based on what motivated me. In fact, what I was using to motivate him was his biggest fear, which was moving on and change. So, in the golden rule, basically what we're saying is do unto others, we would have them do unto us. That's applying your type of motivation, what motivates you. And what I had to learn very quickly, I think I was in my 20s at the time, was that the platinum rule is what you really need to apply. Platinum rule means that you need to understand what will motivate that individual and then use that as a leader to be able to bring them along. We talked a little bit yesterday about single mission, but multiple perspectives. And as a leader, we need to be able to apply that platinum rule that says, let me figure out what will work and link with your station. And in the work that we've done, hi Chi, we've got several people. In the work that we've done, we use a profiling tool called DISC. There are a lot of different profiles, but I really like DISC because it helps me to see the dominant person, the influencing person, the steady, and the compliance person. Yeah, and understanding that is like a key into unlocking how to communicate, how to lead. Yes. I like that, Walt. You're right. I always say the best experience is learning from testimonies and mistakes of others, and getting people to a place where they can share some of those learnings and those vulnerabilities is a big part of leadership. I like that. So when we're applying and looking at how to treat others, what I want you to take away just real quick is use a platinum rule, which means that you're modifying based on who your listener is and the best way to link with them and motivate them. And secondly, that you create an environment where people can be vulnerable and share their mistakes and their learning so that you can get the best plan that will apply and drive your business or organization forward. Okay, I see a live link that has been pasted here. If we could take that into the WhatsApp group, Jibs, and then we would be able to share it with the posse, and I can pick it and paste it and put it somewhere else as well. So if you can help me with that, I appreciate it. So what are we talking about today? With battling distractions during a crisis, we established yesterday that one of the key things or role of a leader is being able to define reality. Maxie Dupree said, very much define the reality. And in defining the reality, you need to be comfortable with searching for clarity in the space of uncertainty. Getting clear about in a situation what I can control and what I can't control. Because quite a bit of anxiety comes from trying to control what you can't control. Would you agree? Can anybody give me a hand raised to let me know that link makes sense? In battling the distraction, it's important to know that when you're focused as a leader and going somewhere, whether it's your family, your work team, your community, whatever the structure may be, that you are focused in trying to go somewhere. And what we have right now with the COVID-19 and what we have with the lockdown and all these unplanned kind of agendas is a distraction. I want us to break down and look at the meaning of that word distraction. Distraction is the opposite of traction. Traction is how you move forward, how you're applying the law of momentum, how once you get started, I always share with people that you cannot steer a parked car. So if you're stuck and standing still, you really can't move, right? So momentum means that you're building traction and that you're moving in a direction. And just imagine you're driving down the road and boom, here comes COVID-19. Now, we have some choices about how we can respond to it, right? Because it is a distraction. It wasn't was it on anybody's plan? I don't think it was on anybody's plan. I know, beginning of the year, we're all doing Vision 2020. We got all these goals. I think I saw more goals, more plans than I've seen in a very, and we were taking a lot of energy to, really go. And for me, I'm starting a whole new phase with, I call it my third pivot into coaching, training, and speaking. And wow, making traction, making momentum, having plans. I had some masterminds, working on my Mojo journal, had all these things, set to go. I was working on a tourism project to bring African Americans and all kinds of Americans into Africa and do retreat. I had it all worked out. We talk about, we were doing, what do you call it? Tourism and investment and bringing people, really bridging the gap between Africa and all these other places. And booyah, people can't travel. So imagine the distraction this gave to my plans. I'm sure all of us have stories of where we were looking to go somewhere, and now this distraction has come. Now, in distraction, it's really the opposite, right? It's the opposite of traction, and it can confuse us from our priorities if we don't manage it well. So oftentimes, what you need to be very clear about when that distraction comes, it's like a squirrel, right? You're talking, and I guess in West Africa, we don't have squirrels. We have that gecko that comes by, right? You're in the middle of a conversation, and the gecko comes and it takes your attention away. So let's call these distractions squirrels. Squirrels come at the most unpredictable time. And if you're not really focused and have enough momentum driving in the direction you're going, you will be distracted by the squirrel. Either you're put on brakes or your eyes will wander. What we're trying to employ today is how do you as a leader not be distracted? So some things we just want to come out with. One is clarity. Having clarity on what your priorities are. Having that project plan that you're actually working and making updates to as you go. Having accountability and having routine and having structure and how you're working. How many of us are needing to now work more remotely, correct? I took my team through a training on remote working on last Friday. So we're learning together and we're doing some things together, and it helped us with being able to say what are do's, what are don'ts, what are those start, stop, continue activities that we want to have. So in terms of your team, there's going to need to be some new type of norming where you're establishing new ways of working. So when you're actively involving them in the new way of working, because what does that do? If I'm focused on something, it's just like when you're raising children where we talk about giving them some type of hobby or talent so they can say no to drugs. They have something to say yes to. Give your team to say something to say yes to, so that they can become focused, they can be purposeful. Remember, what does a woman need? Some compliments, a new pair of shoes every now and then. Everybody has a different motivation, but everyone wants to be linked with success. Everyone wants to be linked with momentum and moving forward and bringing something of value into the world. So if you can stay clear as a leader on what that is and help your team, hi Marie, welcome Donald, then you can keep your team. When the squirrel comes, you acknowledge the squirrel. It came, like a negative thought comes, but you don't have to hold on to it. Yes, I saw it, but let it float by. Let me share with you something I learned through yoga, I think, and meditation is, think of your mind as a sky and think of ideas and issues and, floating by as clouds. Every cloud that goes by, you see it, but you don't have to grab it and hold it. Let your mind be blank like the sky. And as the clouds go by, only pick the ones that serve you. Only pick the ones to deal with that are within, your focus. And even if it's issues that you must deal with, you have a choice of how and when you'll deal with it. So use that. And I love, in terms of negative thinking, we can't necessarily control the thought that comes, but we can in our mind look at that cloud and say, oops, I'm going to not hold on to that and let that cloud keep going. Maybe I file that for another day, or maybe I never even get back to it. Because a lot of that negative thinking feels like constraints. I was sharing with my nephew this morning. I said, all these, unpredictable things happening and, it feels like a sucker punch, and yes, you need to go down sometimes to absorb the sucker punch. I'm not saying be unrealistic and just act like some negative things aren't happening. I had some, series. I woke up this morning and was checking in on some stuff. I'm like, this was not the plan. This was not what I expected. Now it's holidays, delays. All those delays, once you get delays sometimes in things, it discourages you. But what I said with him and we agreed was, there's always a dip before the rise. So in that dip, yes, I'm feeling my ribs are sore. Dog it, that hurt. Financially, it was a hit because I'm saying as time goes, some of you know our devaluation that's happening in Nigeria and all this other stuff. If you do anything with money, it can hit you. But the first thing I had to say to myself, what can I control? And what is it that I only have influence over? And what are those things I have no control nor influence over? Okay, put them in those 3 boxes. You've seen the concentric circles. If you haven't, that thing that I can control, let me control that as much as possible. The thing I can influence, let me see what are my links, what are the different ways that I can have an impact on that. And then those things that I can't control, can I just put them in spirit and pray over them and put some peace around that? Can I talk with spirit and have a connection? Welcome, Sarah, King, and Michelle. It is important to be able to segment those things, because if I put the energy and your team members are putting the energy into the things they can't control, it wasn't on the program, not in the focus, but it's calm and it's a cloud that they're choosing to hold on to right now. And they're putting energy on it and losing and dissipating energy. Anxiety comes from trying to control what we can't control. Did the sun rise? Trying to put energy on that, you can see how that's futile, but how many things do you think your teams, your family, yourself, you're dealing with that you can't control, but yet you're putting energy into it? So do that sort and help your team see ahead on those sorts. And one of the things that I usually teach in my classes and I coach around is 3 buckets. You've got the outcome that you're going for, you've got the process, and you've got the event. Okay, 3 different buckets. And I use events by like that one-off thing, right? Sometimes people go to parties, and I was coaching one young lady who decided that her dream was so important that, all the parties, we go to party. Nigeria, we have so many things to celebrate. So people, it's just a habit. You got your gele, you're matched up, and all you and your sister friends all wearing the same color. And she said she had been going to parties, and the mastermind we were working on was building her dream. So the point around the event is she realized that going to that party, she would go and come back the exact same, no advancement toward any of her goals or outcomes. So she actually decided to skip the event and spend time that she spent like 4 hours working on her business plan, working on the name for her company, and got very clear on some things that she'd been struggling with. That if she would have gone to that party, the event, she would have never made that progress. So she decided to focus on the outcome. And once you focus on the outcome, you can be selective about what events you invest into. Remember, time is the only currency you can never, ever get back. Once you invest your time in something, you never, ever get it back. So being judicious and intentional is very, very important. So outcomes, if you focus on the outcome and then say, which events, maybe if I'm working on my business plan, I only go to the events where I'm going to connect with someone who can, take me forward on my outcome. So it's selective. And then in the process, what I see in business sometimes, we'll fall in processes, but we never get the outcome. So that's the risk sometimes. If you focus on events, it felt good in the moment, but it didn't take you forward. So be selective in that. On the process, if you follow the process that includes an event, yes, and a connection. Welcome, Sonia. You need to be clear that some processes say they're going to get you somewhere, but if they're not really getting you there, you need to be judicious in knowing how to make the update. And then the outcome might be that nice body that you want, right? So if you focus on the outcome, but then put the energy on the process, which means going to the gym every day and getting it done, you can begin to apply this when you are leading your teams. If an event comes and is not really in service to what you're making traction toward, not distraction, but traction toward, momentum and focus to, you can gear them and say, okay, let's have like a cheat sheet that says things that fall into this category, definitely no. During this season, no. And until this date, no. But things that fall into this category, maybe it's a discussion, right? But things that definitely fall into this category, these are the definite things we say yes to. So helping people to know how to focus their energy. Where your focus goes is where your focus grows. So if you have them on a path and you're continuously reminding them, then you're going to get that results and you're going to battle the distraction and still make the traction during this crisis. So what does that look like and how do we do it? For many of us, getting online and working remotely, not being able to see people. So it's a challenge for me. I can't see Sonia's face. I can't see Michelle's face. I'm feeling their spirit and I'm imagining that I'm making a connection. But that's a personal challenge for me. Happy birthday, Tina. Hey, Mabel. Welcome. So we as leaders need to lean in and try first some of those things that are challenging us. We can't be at the back end of experimentation. We can't be afraid to fail by not trying new things. So we need to get ahead, right? All right, you still with me? I hope we're still with me. Okay, so the point is on the distraction, I just wanted to go through some modalities. What is that actually? Because you can talk principles, but what's the practical? The practical is setting routine, setting a structure. We've got Mabel has been a teacher for years, and I'm sure she can tell us if in the classroom, if you don't have a timetable for the student, you wander all over the place. And if you don't have guardrails, and a destination anywhere you end up is fine. So in our leadership journey, let's think about the type of people that we are leading and understand what I was saying about the platinum rule. Once you define the mission, right? We said single mission, multiple perspectives. Once you define the mission, you need to then assign the roles and responsibilities. The roles and responsibilities are going to be a function of the talents, abilities, and capabilities on your team, right? Now, once you assign the roles and responsibilities, To support that, you've got to then understand that whole platinum rule and the type of people that you're dealing with on how you would motivate them. In the give the guidelines, as I talked about, so that they have support and aligned decision making when it comes to events, to put their energy into processes to support and outcomes that are worthy of their attention. And then you need to have set times for connection. Okay, and this may require us to do more time, because on a daily, we call them stand up, right? And we call them, I'm used to YTT. So when you get together in your daily huddle, then you're looking at yesterday. What did we do yesterday? That allows you to, review the experience and evaluate it, right? What did we do yesterday? What do we need to do today? And what are we looking forward to tomorrow? That's YTT. Maybe someone can help me type that in. But YTT is a wonderful structure to begin to focus people's minds so you can battle distraction. So remember, the strongest tool that we have is focus when we're trying to get rid of the distraction. So you use the YTT model. Then on a daily basis, you're reflecting on what happened yesterday, then you're deciding what you're going to do today and then tomorrow. So you're going to need a closer contact and linking up with your family members, your organization, your team, and that whole working remotely to battle distractions. The other thing is where you used to just meet in a group and get that alignment, but you could see and touch people and kind of read a feeling. You're going to have to do more one-on-ones as a leader to help to bring people through, because it's in that one-on-one really is a function of the know, like, and trust. It's in that one-on-one space that you as a leader build that connection where you actually know them and they know something about you. One of the things I know when we were online, and we didn't even know we were doing it, but one of the things that we did, and this was in my pledge experience many years ago, but each of us committed to learning all of the siblings' names, knowing, where you're from, had to know where people were from, their middle name, birthday. So what is it? I talked about women need compliments and occasional pair of shoes. Most of us want people to be curious about them and know about them more than just their name, rank, and serial number. But it's a starting point. Know something about me that's more than just the work that I bring. What is my zodiac sign? Where am I from? So having those connection points where you can build a know, like, and trust will help you to be more effective as a leader. Because guess what? In this battling of distractions right now, you're going to need to be a different type of leader. You're going to need to not just be a directive around task, which is more around managing delivery. You're going to need to move into a coaching mode. And coaching, guys, isn't just like on the football field. Hello, and Kim, welcome. Carolyn, and Mabel. Coaching is about skillfully asking the right questions to get people to bring out their own answers. So in your one-on-one opportunities, you need to be connecting in a way that gets people to self-discover, because in self-discovery is when they'll own it. So coaching is something that I actually do in one-on-ones and in masterminds, but it's really seated in the belief that most of the answers that people have are seated within them. It's just our job to help them by asking the right questions. So the quality of the answer is a function of the type of question that you ask. So as a leader, in order to battle distractions, focusing people to help them to answer the right questions on what they're trying to solve in their life, in their work, in their meaning, if it's a community project, here we're giving out lunches during the day, but getting people to be focused on not necessarily the stress of what I'm doing at home, but being focused on the task of structuring the meals, flagging people down, who has the job of holding the sign, who has the job of making the sign, being very directive and clear, being able to use coaching, and then mentoring. Mentoring shows that you have done that thing before. Hi, Dare and Esther. I'm sure you've done the mentoring. Mentoring means you've walked in the shoes before, but it's also about role modeling. What you want to do is show, not just talk it, but be that model for structure and holding to guidelines and keeping commitments. And those are some of the ways that we can battle distraction during this crisis. So what you want to do is it's very, very easy, kind of doubling back here. It's very easy as a leader. You yourself will experience mind wandering, right? That's that squirrel, right? That thing that comes. Thinking about what could happen instead of focusing on what is happening. So focus is one of our best tools. The next one is negative thinking. Feeling as if everything could go wrong, is going wrong. Remember, we talked about yesterday, crisis is not new, guys. Crisis has been happening, and there's so many things we've gone through we thought we wouldn't get through, whether it's loss in our lives, whether it's some tragedy, whether you look at SARS, you look at Ebola, you look at 9/11, all of those are crises that at the time we were going through them, it seemed like the worst thing. And remember, there's always a dip before the rise. It's in that dip that you're feeling uncomfortable and you're trying to get comfortable with the change. Look, where are you on the change curve? Sometimes we just have to stop and say, okay, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? What's behind this? Is this feeling something that, is linked with maybe a past experience? Is what I'm looking at even realistic? So in that negative thinking, remember, the negative thought can come, but it's your choice whether you hold on to it. You can let it go. So practice letting the negative thinking go and realize that there's cycles and seasons. Solomon was the most wise person, right, in time. And what did he say? This too shall pass. The third one is uncertain anxiety, the fear of the unknown, which amplifies our fears. So when you have anxiety and in certain times, it usually means because you're trying to, and maybe you don't have the clarity, but you're trying to control what's not able to be controlled. So when leaders get distracted, you lose sight of reality, you lose touch of hope, and you fall prey to anxiety yourself, which in turn infects other people. If we're having any of that, we need to find a way to contain it. Maybe you bring it out just at certain times. It's like that piece of luggage you keep packed up, and at a point you bring it out. But in order to be an effective leader, you're going to need to ensure that you're not losing sight of reality. Because our big job as a leader is to define reality. Where are we right now? Situational analysis. What's possible, what's not possible, what's within our control, what's within our influence, what is outside of our control. And let's be clear about where we're focusing. Because if you can focus and begin to achieve just a little bit, you're able to give hope and you're able to ignite a belief that something better is possible and we can move forward. Falling prey to anxiety basically adds you to the noise. And as leaders, we want to be a voice above the noise. I use the T.D. Jakes. He talks about the giraffe and turtle, and I thank Gladys Agwai for sharing that with me. As a giraffe, look at that long neck that the giraffe has. You're able to see high and far. In any police movie you ever notice, right, when they come into an area, they always put people on top of the buildings because from altitude, you're able to change your attitude. You're able to see more and be more and see the possibilities. You're able to see the cycle. You're able to see, okay, in the circumstance that we are, those are the people that are on the ground level on the front. That's all they can see. That's the turtle. The turtle just has a view. All they can see, they can't even look around their shell. They're constrained. If we have turtles on our team, we've got to grow them into being giraffes. But we must lead first by being able to see further. So because someone else's sky has fallen doesn't mean that my sky has to fall too. I have got to define it. And leaders must find a way to discipline themselves to stay focused yourself. So what are you doing for self-care? What are you doing to make yourself stronger? Some habits I'll share with you very quickly are around number 1, plan your day before the day. One of the practices that has really helped me is if at night and I have it on my alarm, do I do it every time? No. But am I getting better every day? Yes. have an alarm where I spend 30 minutes in my own YTT, where I'm evaluating what happened yesterday or the day that I'm in. What do I want to have happen? What are my goals? How am I doing against my goals? And then I set the plan for the next day so that when I go to bed at night, it's already seated in me. Welcome, Laverne and Joan. That plan for the day. And then in that plan for the day, I have some structure. My husband, I love it. He's exercising every day, and he's like, Patrenia, you need to keep your body warmed up. That's how we're gonna fight this virus coming in if it comes around. So have a plan for the set time that you wake up. Having routine and structure, guys, really will help you to flow as a leader. Because if you have structure and discipline, it's much easier for you to cascade it to others. So biggest leadership challenge is leading ourselves. So I'm taking you through that. Plan the day before. Get up and have a set plan. Include some exercise, because what that does is give you the happy endorphins and dopamine, all those things that can help you with your own stress. So it builds up your emotional resilience so that when challenges come, you're only down for a short amount of time. You're not down for the count. You're down and then you get back up. The other thing I would say is spend some spiritual time. Meditation, prayer, whatever name you call it, but connecting with a higher being. And for me, I do gratitude. I've been teaching gratitude everywhere. So I use a lotus where that flower doesn't blossom, it opens up this way. Hi, Amma, how you doing? So you say, I'm grateful for, what is that one thing you're grateful for today? What's the second thing you're grateful for? And you begin to open that flower with those 5 gratitudes. How you doing, Katia? So that you start in the morning with those gratitudes, and studies are showing, there's so much science behind this, guys, that people who spend some time acknowledging what they're grateful about have higher health, measures. They have, in terms of, it's called, the measure is emotional well-being. Your emotional well-being is higher when you have a practice of gratitude and savoring the moment. So savoring is another habit that when something is happening. So for me, when I look at flowers, I love my orchids. I'm just looking at orchids and appreciating. Savoring means stepping out of the situation and looking at yourself, all right? Being present in that situation and experiencing and acknowledging that emotion. I practiced savoring yesterday. My grandson crawled. Yes, he did. And we were all there watching. So a non-savoring me would have been more involved in it. Come on, come to me. No, I just stood there and I just stepped out of it, and I just, wow, this little bump, he was a little lump. Now he's evolving into a human being that can do so many things. And I just savored and said, if Nigeria's airspace wouldn't have been shut down, I wouldn't have been here to experience this. I would have learned about it secondhand. How cool is this, and how wonderful does this feel? That's what leaders do. You find things to savor. You find a way to build up your gratitude bank. You find a way to communicate to people that you're working with how grateful and thankful you are for them. There's always something to be grateful for. You're right, Amma. So we're only limited by what we choose to see. That's another habit. And then what you want to be able to do is not just keep the gratitude with you, share with others what you're grateful about. I've told the story so many times, but if you hadn't heard it, in year 2000, does anybody remember what they got for their birthday in year 2000? So most people don't. I do. My cousin gave me a whole jar of gratitudes. She gave me a whole jar of all the things she was grateful for me about. And I've carried that with me for 20 years. In those dips, when I'm feeling I open it up, and it's a gift that keeps on giving. So share with others what they mean to you. All of that helps to lift you. In Patrenia Speaks, we call this Mojo lifestyle, more joy. So we're lifting ourselves. How you doing, Kate? So it's about lifting yourself so that you can lift others. Having that structure. Defining the mission, assigning the roles and responsibilities, knowing how to motivate, applying the platinum rule, having the guidelines so people can make judicious decisions on how they use their energy, events, processes, and outcomes. I've explained that model. Setting times to connect, connecting as a group and connecting one-on-one. Building know, like, and trust between each, that one-on-one. That's how that person will be comfortable with sharing some of their feelings. Because when we come to work, we're not just a bag of doers. We got feelings behind it. We got all kinds of layers. And people won't reveal those layers to you if they don't know, like, and trust you. Exactly. I love that mojo. More joy. How can I be a part of that light that helps to bring people out? In your structured meetings, your connections, establish a structure. I just gave you one, YTT. And when the decision quality 4DQ, having a dashboard that you're measuring. But YTT is about looking at what did we plan to do yesterday and how did it go? What do we plan to do today and what's our plan? What is it that we're looking forward to tomorrow? Can you imagine if you can have that? And it's not blinder like a turtle, but it's focus. So when the distractions come, they know, whoa, that doesn't fit into my focus. I can put that in the file, look at later, right? And then having, taking the opportunity to build a relationship with the people who are in your team. And knowing now as a leader, your role is not just in directive managing of tasks and managing of deliverables. It's around coaching. Coaching helps to bring out potential that people don't know that they have seated within them. It's helping them toward a specific goal, but letting them, unsurface and discover. And then being a mentor, a role model that is walking the steps. We talked yesterday about empathy. So my role as a coach for you today is to listen to you, support you, encourage you, inspire and motivate you into action, and to help you. So that's one of our missions. For some of you who have gotten, let me know if you still need to get the Mastermind guide, okay? Thank you so much, I'm feeling the calling. I'm like, God, why did you deposit all these experiences in me if I'm not to cascade it? So thank you for that, I feel blessed in that. In the Mastermind, we do have questions, and I do want you to join us on the Dream Builders Facebook group. That's where you're going to find all kinds of resources and content. That's where people are going to be sharing what's working, what they've tried, what they've learned, and we're building and going somewhere. Because guess what? People who have community live much longer lives. All those blue zones around the world, what they found in common is that people did not go at it alone. So I'll round back up where I started, which was footprints pointing. When the woman at the end of her life looked back at her life, she saw one set of footprints when she was going through the toughest times of her life. And because she was using the natural vision and not a spiritual vision, she concluded that those were the times that God left her and she was alone. What I want to say to everyone today is that community and not being alone. She did not see and look deeper and realize that that was the time that God carried her. We each are representatives of God, and it's in our community and sharing and crying sometimes and then laughing. Look at some comedy guys and laugh our butts off. All of that lifts us. And as we share and go through a common experience together, it will bond us if we let it and know how to use the situation. Use a challenge or adversity for an advantage. And that's what we're here to do today. I will be posting these, the questions from the guide right in the Facebook Live, right in underneath the video to save time. And each of these are coaching tools for you. They're questions to, and it's, in your opinion, why is it easy for a leader to get distracted during a crisis? We're asking questions to get you to look into yourself and become introspective, because step one is leading yourself. Thank you so much for joining us. Patrenia Speaks. We celebrate you. We're here to lead you. We're here to support you. Wherever you want to go, we're here to take you along the way. I love to hear comments. Please let me know, did any of this resonate with you? Was it on the mark with what maybe your soul was seeking, what your mind was seeking? Did you learn anything new? Please share. Golden rule, platinum rule. getting rid of negative thinking. I'm going to share a quote on the group. C.S. Lewis. I didn't get a chance to read it, but I'll share it. But he was talking about the atomic bomb that was, hey, thank you, Kenneth. At the time, atomic bomb was equivalent to our coronavirus, and it was about making choices on how to get rid of that negative thinking. And remember that, between stimulus and response, we have a choice. What will you choose today? Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful to see everyone. I'm feeling your aroma. I'm burning my candle here because that's helping me to create atmosphere. The aroma is making me feel at peace and grounded. As leaders, we must find ways and know techniques that ground us. Because if we're floating and all over the place, who's going to follow us? You need to provide that confidence by first providing it for yourself. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I want you to have a wonderful day. Battle distractions during the crisis. Be the leader, be the giraffe that everyone needs around you. Each one, reach one, teach one. We're off. Thank you.